Welcome everyone, it's Jennifer McGuire and I'm glad you're back. I thought I would share with you some ideas for adding some sparkle and shine behind your window die cuts. So I got these wonderful dies from Neat and Tangled. They're new and it has the word hooray and then a shadow die for it. Now I thought I would create some fun backdrops for that word hooray. So I'm going to share 3 different ideas with you, from advanced to medium to really easy. So we'll start with the harder one first, and that's the card that you see here. Before we can create our window backdrop, I need to create the background, and I'm doing that with the new Neat and Tangled Balloon Duo stencil set. These come together, and I like that you can flip them or turn them and overlap them in many different ways to create unique backgrounds. So I have a piece of white cardstock. This is 4 by 5.5, and I'm going to use some Post-it tape to mask off the bottom of the card so that I don't get ink everywhere. If you don't have masking tape like this, you can use any other kind of temporary tape. I'm also going to mask off so I have only one balloon showing over here on the right, and I'm going to ink over that open balloon. I decided to use Distress Oxide inks today because they blend so effortlessly. However, you can use an ink blending tool or sponge tool with pretty much any pigment or dye ink. I just find that these oxide inks are very forgiving because they stay wet for a little bit, so you can blend them out to be smooth. I'll continue to ink up all the balloons along the stencil, making sure to mask off the one that I created before so I don't overlap the inks. Now notice when I ink, I do kind of ink from the bottom up so that I end up with a heavier amount of color towards the bottom of the balloon and a lighter color towards the top. So it almost looks like shadows and highlights. So after I've created one row of balloons, I'm going to go ahead and heat set this. These inks stay wet for a little bit and I don't want to mess up what I have. So I like to heat set in between every step of this process. So now I have the other balloon stencil in the duo, and I'm going to repeat this process, doing the same colors and making sure to overlap some of the balloons. And since balloons are kind of see-through, it's fun that you can kind of see some of the color of the balloon behind it through the ones in the front. And I noticed there at the top right, I got a little bit of pink ink where I didn't want it. So what I do for this is I heat set it so I can make sure it's dry. Then I use my paper sand eraser to kind of sand away the color. And this really does a good job erasing it and nobody will ever know. This tool is very handy to have. Okay, so now I went ahead and repeated this process to cover the entire front of the card. I just kept moving the stencil down, masking each balloon individually so I could color them with my ink blending tool and my Distress Oxide inks. To draw the little strings for the balloon, I didn't want to do a black pen because I thought it might be distracting. So instead, I'm just using my little glitter pen to draw little lines from the balloon knots all the way to the bottom of the card. And I'm using my T-roller to make sure they're straight. This adds a little bit of sparkle and you can see the little balloon lines, but it's not too distracting. Okay, so now I have the Neat and Tangled Hooray word die set. So it cuts a shadow and then the hooray word also. I'm going to start with the shadow die and die cut that through the front of our balloon panel here. So this is going to create our window where we'll add some sparkle behind. I'm also going to cut from black cardstock the word hooray itself. So now I will have a black die cut hooray and an opening or a window frame for it on our balloon background. I created a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white note card and I'm going to hold the balloon opening over it. I'm going to draw little pencil lines just in the corners of this word so I know where the opening will be on our white note card. Now I'm going to take the hooray window die itself, line it up with those little pencil lines and trace it. This will give me a pencil line that is slightly bigger than our opening since the die edge is slightly bigger than the die cutting edge. And then I can fill in the area of the pencil and nobody will ever see my pencil lines. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to take a piece of double-sided sticky tape. This is Be Creative tape. It's a very strong double-sided tape. And I'm going to cut it to be a little bit bigger than our hooray pencil line. I'm going to place it right on that pencil line. Then I'm going to take a bone folder and really press it into place so it sticks there nicely. When I remove the release paper, it's very sticky there and I can still see the pencil line through it. Now I'm going to fill in that entire pencil line with these new Neat and Tangled sequins. I believe these are the magic sequins. There are a variety of sizes of iridescent and they are gorgeous. So I'm just going to make sure I fill in all that pencil area. I can overlap to the outside a bit. Mixing them up, you can create a pattern if you want to, but I find putting them in random order very close together is very fast to do. It took me about 10 minutes to make this, but these are the most beautiful sequins, and in the end result, I think it's worth the time. So I covered the whole pencil area, and now I'm using my anti-static powder tool over this extra adhesive so that it's not sticky around it. That really helps to pull the card together to remove that stick. And then I brush away the extra powder. And check out how beautiful these sequins are. They really catch the light. Definitely worth the effort. So now I have our balloon panel piece. I'm going to put double-sided tape around the outside edge or double-sided foam tape around the outside edge for some dimension. And then I'll put this over our note card where all those sequins are. And now we have sequins behind that whole window. It's the perfect backdrop for the Hooray die cut. Now when I put my Hooray die cut up against those sequins, it kind of got lost. It just seemed too flat. So I decided to cover my Hooray die cut with several layers of clear embossing powder. So I just press my Versamark ink pad onto the Hooray die cut, cover it with clear embossing powder, heat set it, let it cool for a couple minutes, and then come back and repeat the process 3 times. This really gives nice, clear shine to the Hooray die cut, gives it dimension that looks like it's kind of bubbled up. It's beautiful. Really makes a big difference. Now I can take this die cut, put some strong liquid adhesive on the back of it, and add it to our card. Since this is going on all those sequins, I want to make sure that I have a good amount of strong adhesive here. You could also put a sticky tape on the back of this before you did the die cutting, but I definitely trust my strong Ranger Multi-Medium matte finish adhesive to hold this tight. So that's why I chose to do that instead. Once I have it in place, I'm going to take an acrylic block and put it on top, and then put several on top of that so it has something heavy on top of it while it dries. So now you can see it's stuck there and I don't have to worry about it coming off. And we have that beautiful shiny Hooray die cut with the sequins as a backdrop. Now I'm using the Neat and Tangled Hooray stamp set to do a coordinating sentiment on the inside, and I'm going to stamp it with that matching blue oxide ink. And then I'm going to heat set that because remember, oxide inks stay wet for a little bit. I also used the Hooray stamp from that coordinating stamp set to stamp onto my envelope with Versamark ink and add white embossing powder. It's a great way to tie everything together, and I like that the Hooray stamp set and die are both available. So here's the final card. I did add a few sequins to the front also to tie everything together, and I just love that sequin backdrop for that window around the Hooray die cut. So if you don't have window dies for your words, you could use a circle and create a window of that and put sequins behind it. Just get creative with adding some shine behind those frames. Okay, so next I wanted to show you a faster way to do a sparkly window backdrop. And in this card, I'm going to actually create my own glitter paper. It's hard to see in the photo, but behind the word Hooray is some really sparkly white glitter paper that I created. So I have a small piece of white cardstock here, and I'm going to apply over this a thin layer of Nubo Moonstone glitter paste. I really like this glitter paste. It is clear with some really crazy sparkly glitter inside. Now this glitter paste comes in a bunch of different colors. However, I tend to use this one the most, and if I want to have color, I put it on a colored cardstock, and the Moonstone glitter paste picks up the color of whatever cardstock is behind it. So in this case, I'll just end up with a subtle white glitter paper. Now I'm going to leave this and let it dry for a while, and then I can add it behind that Hooray window die cut. Okay, so now I have all my pieces ready to go. Let me show you how I assembled this guy. So I went ahead and stamped and colored a little monkey and a balloon from this new Neat and Tangled Wild One stamp set. This is such a cute set. And I just colored it with Copic markers very quickly. I also am going to use a little sentiment from this older Neat and Tangled Itty Bitty Welcoming Committee stamp set that you see on the right. So I have my little balloon here and I want to tie a string to the bottom of it. So I have a piece of black thread and I am just going to create a little knot, a little loop here, and lasso it around the bottom of my balloon and then tie that into a knot and then a double knot. This allows me to have a thin string that I can use to connect the balloon to the monkey's little hand. So once I have this double knotted here, I'm going to go ahead and add the balloon to my background. And by the way, that white cardstock piece is 4¼ by 5¼ so it's a little bit short, and I die cut the hooray window, or the shadow die cut from that. Now I'm going to put some foam tape behind my little monkey here, and then to hold this string in his paw, I'm just going to put a tiny drop of Ranger Multi-Medium. Now this is a matte finish adhesive, so it really will dry and you won't see the adhesive holding that little string to his paw. You'll be surprised, it dries very quickly. Okay, so now I've stamped a little sentiment underneath hooray also, and it's time to put some foam tape behind this. Now I'm going generous with the foam tape because I want this to hold up when going through the mail. If you only put a little bit of foam tape, it might get squished. So now I'm taking that glitter paper that we created with the paste, gluing that behind the window, and now we can add this to the front of a 4¼ by 5½ top folding white note card. After I glued this on there, I decided that it was a little bland having the white on white, so I did a little trick that I wanted to share with you. I took my Copic marker that was the same color as that balloon, and I used it to color the cardstock, or the note card that is peeking through. So now it looks like I used a pink note card, but really I used white, and it's a great way to add some color. So now I have my hooray die cut, and this I did again with black cardstock, and I layered some layers of clear embossing powder on top, putting some strong adhesive on the back of it, and then I'll put this down onto that dried glitter paste, and I'm going to hold it there while it dries. In this case, this is kind of set back, so I used a few bottles of adhesive and drops just to hold it in place while it dried. After it was dry, I decided I wanted some shine to my balloon, so I just used my Versamark pen and colored over the entire balloon, and then it added clear embossing powder. The Versamarker pen allows you to add sticky to wherever you want so that you can put on embossing powder and heat set. So now I have a shiny balloon. Okay, so now I have everything completed. You can see the shine on the balloon, and you can also see the sparkle behind the hooray die cut. Really adds a lot of interest in real life. Whenever I have a little critter on my card, I always like to finish it off by using some ebony black Nuvo drops to really intensify the eyes and the nose. Okay, so here is the final card. You can see lots of shine on this. You have the sparkle backdrop behind the window. You have the embossing on the hooray die cut and on the balloon, and then the intense little bit of dimension on the eyes and nose on the monkey. So that's another way to create a sparkly backdrop for your window die cut. So I have one last example for you, and this is definitely the fastest. For this one, I had to use that giraffe image from the Neat and Tangled Wild One stamp set. He's just too cute. And to save time, I just use glittered paper as my sparkly backdrop for our window. The glitter paper that I've been reaching for most lately is the Die Cuts with a View washi stacks. So this is actually glitter and foil paper with a sticky back to it. It's supposed to be kind of like washi tape, but in a sheet form. But in this case, I'm just going to use it as paper, so I'm not removing the release paper on the back of it. And that will be a backdrop for our little window. I've already created the panel for the front of our card. It is 4 inches wide and 5½ tall. And I die cut the Shadow Hooray die cut for our little window. I stamped and colored a giraffe and balloon from the Neat and Tangled Wild One stamp set. And now I'm just adding that glitter paper behind the window. So you can see you still have dimension and lots of shine, but you save a lot of time by using pre-made paper. Trimming the excess off the side, and now I can glue this to a top folding 4¼ by 5½ note card. And again, I'll have some cardstock peeking from the side. So to make it match the balloon, I'm going to go in with my matching Copic marker and color the edges. I find this is a great trick if you change your mind later, or if you want to make sure that your cardstock perfectly matches your coloring. So I did add the Hooray die cut right over the glitter paper, glued it on with that strong liquid adhesive, and added some sequins and string so that it looks like the giraffe is holding the balloon from his mouth. So there you have 3 different ways to create sparkly backdrops for your windows. I hope you'll give this a try. It really is fun and a great way to step up your cards. If you are interested in the supplies I use, I always link them below in my YouTube description. But go over to my blog. I'll have a lot of information over there, including a giveaway. In the middle are some more videos that might be of interest related to this video, and I hope you'll return again soon. Have a great week.